In medieval alchemy, the material being transformed had to sit in absolute darkness before it could ever become gold. Nothing rushed, nothing forced, just a quiet, hidden stage where change could unfold. And the soul isn't any different. It follows the same law. Every inner transformation begins in shadow, in that black stage the alchemists called negrado, where the old identity softens and dissolves before anything new can appear. You might know this feeling without even realizing it. One morning, you wake up and somehow the world looks the same, yet not the same. Colors feel sharper. Small things feel alive again. It's subtle, but it's real. That's the unconscious announcing, in its own mysterious way, that the incubation period is ending. Your dreams start to feel more vivid. Your imagination wakes up like it's stretching after sleep. There's this spontaneous curiosity that wasn't there before, genuine, effortless, almost childlike, and slowly you notice energy returning, not forced motivation, not discipline fueled by pressure. Something natural, something like the first warm day after a long winter. The psyche gently whispers, "Move now." But don't rush. Your timing is your own. The soul blooms on its own schedule. The problem is, modern society doesn't recognize this rhythm at all. It doesn't know how to value it. We live in a culture obsessed with constant motion, optimization, productivity, the endless cult of being busy. If you're not moving, people assume something's wrong. But the truth is exactly the opposite. Every major transformation in history, artistic, spiritual, scientific, was born in the quiet space between movements. Think of Newton sitting under the apple tree. Think of Buddha beneath the Bodhi tree. Christ retreating into the desert. Jung building his lakeside tower in Bollingen. Each of them stepped back from the world. Each entered stillness. Each returned transformed. Stillness is not the enemy of progress. Stillness is where progress begins. And that's why pausing, truly pausing, in a world that worships productivity, is an act of courage. Honoring your own inner cycles in a society that expects you to grow in a straight, upward line, that is pure rebellion. Jung once said that the wisest people are the ones who know when to stop, because when they stop, they can finally hear the self speaking underneath all the noise, all the obligations, all the expectations. Rest, then, is not indulgence. It's devotion. It is a sacred right of the soul, a recalibration point built into the human spirit. What's fascinating is that neuroscience is now confirming what mystics have been teaching for centuries. When you rest, the brain's default mode network turns on. That part of your mind begins weaving together memory, emotion, insight, recovery, imagination, all while your body is still. Meaning is literally being constructed in the silence, in the space where nothing appears to be happening. Ancient wisdom, modern science, and both are pointing to the same truth. Stillness is the architecture of transformation. And so the final realization becomes almost shockingly simple. Your desire to lie down, to slow down, to withdraw, isn't the problem. It's actually the solution. It's your soul trying to protect you from a life, a pace, a pressure that no longer fits who you're becoming. It's your unconscious drawing you inward so you can rewrite the script from the inside out. From now on, when that heaviness returns, when you feel the pull to stop, don't curse it. Don't fight it. Thank it. Your psyche is trying to guide you back to truth in the only language it has: silence, pause, stillness. Because your soul never asks for laziness. It asks for authenticity. It asks for the kind of quiet where truth can finally rise to the surface. It asks for the courage to live from what is real instead of what is expected. And sometimes, to hear that truth, you need to turn down every outside voice, and even your own. So rest. Truly rest. Not the kind where you collapse at the end of the day because you're exhausted, but the kind where you choose stillness on purpose, where you lean into the quiet instead of running from it. Because there is a new version of you forming there, quietly, patiently, beneath everything you show to the world. And the beautiful part is this: when that new version is ready, you won't have to force your next step. You won't have to hype yourself up, or push yourself through resistance, or drag yourself into action. It will rise naturally, just like dawn breaking through the forest. But to understand why this matters so much, you have to understand the rhythm of inner transformation. The psyche doesn't grow in straight lines. It grows in spirals. It circles back, revisits old wounds, rests, then reaches again. The world demands that you be constantly rising. The soul knows rising requires sinking first. Think about a seed. Before it becomes anything, it disappears underground. Totally unseen. Total darkness. No applause, no recognition, no productivity. Yet beneath the soil, something remarkable is happening. A silent transformation the outside world can't witness, but one the seed cannot skip. Your life works the same way. Every time you enter a period of heaviness, isolation, or emotional fog, every time your energy collapses, every time your motivation vanishes, it is not weakness. It is descent. It is the soul sinking deeper so it can rise stronger. But society has taught us to panic at the first sign of slowing down. Hustle harder, we're told. Keep going. Don't fall behind. No wonder so many people burn out before they ever transform. When you resist the descent, you interrupt the alchemical process. When you honor it, you accelerate it. There's a reason spiritual traditions all describe this same pattern. The dark night before revelation, the winter before spring, the exile before return. Transformation is not linear. It's seasonal, cyclical, rhythmic. And if you don't embrace these cycles, you end up living against your own nature. But if you do honor them, if you let yourself step back when the soul signals that it's time, you begin to live in harmony with your inner seasons. You stop rushing, blooming. You stop forcing clarity. You stop pretending you're okay when your psyche is begging for silence. And then something amazing happens. The heaviness that used to feel like failure begins to feel like guidance. The quiet that used to feel scary begins to feel like home. The pause that used to feel like stagnation becomes a sacred interval, the space where your next chapter quietly takes shape. Think of the times in your life when you changed the most. It wasn't during chaos. It wasn't during triumph. It wasn't when you were busy. It was when everything got quiet. When life slowed down. When something inside you whispered, "Pay attention." Maybe it was after heartbreak. Maybe after burnout. Maybe after losing something you thought you couldn't live without. Maybe after a version of you fell apart. Whatever it was, life paused you for a reason. And even if you did not see it then, you can probably see it now. Everything important that came after that moment needed that stillness to be born. This is the truth most people never learn. Your pause is not the death of your progress. It's the birthplace of your evolution. So the next time your mind tells you, "I just want to lie down," listen closely. That might not be exhaustion. It might be initiation. It might be the beginning of a new phase where your soul is gathering strength for what comes next, where your inner world is reorganizing itself, where something is dissolving so something greater can emerge. You don't have to understand it right away. You don't have to explain it to anyone. You just have to honor it. Because whether you realize it or not, you are right now in the middle of a transformation that future you will thank you for. So if you're in that place right now, where everything in you just wants to slow down, lie down, switch off, don't rush to fix it. Don't rush to label it as laziness or weakness or failure. First, get curious. Ask yourself, what if this isn't avoidance? What if this is my soul trying to protect me? Because sometimes the body says, "I'm tired." But what it really means is, "I'm done pretending." Sometimes the mind says, "I can't focus." But what it really means is, "I can't keep forcing myself down a path that isn't true anymore." Your desire to rest might not be a defect. It might be your inner wisdom hitting the brakes. Remember, your unconscious is always working, always watching. When your outer life drifts too far from your inner truth, the psyche will use whatever tools it can to pull you back. Fatigue, apathy, heaviness, resistance. Not to punish you, but to slow you down long enough for you to hear what's underneath all the noise. So the next time that wave of heaviness comes, resist the temptation to fight it with more caffeine, more productivity hacks, more self-criticism. Instead, try this. Pause. Breathe. Thank it. Literally, in your mind, say, "Okay, I hear you. What are you trying to show me?" It will feel strange at first. We're used to attacking our symptoms, not listening to them. But the moment you shift from war to listening, the energy changes. You stop being the enemy of your own soul. You become its ally. Because your soul is not asking you to sink into permanent numbness. It's not asking for a lifetime of checking out. It's not asking for an escape from effort or responsibility. Your soul is asking for something much more demanding than laziness. Authenticity. Authenticity is hard. It requires honesty. It requires risk. It requires that you stop performing the life you think you should have and start living the life that actually fits who you are. And often, the first step toward authenticity is not action. It's silence. Silence deep enough for truth to rise. We rarely give ourselves that kind of silence. Even when we're resting, we're scrolling, watching, numbing. Our minds are full of everyone else's voices, what they think, what they want, what they expect. Under all that, your own voice is whispering, but it can't compete with the noise. So sometimes, to really hear it, you have to mute everything. Every outer voice telling you what success looks like. Every inner voice repeating old criticism. Every expectation you absorbed without noticing. You may even need to pause your own constant commentary, the part of you that narrates, analyzes, judges every feeling. Beneath all of that, there is a quieter knowing, a deeper sense. It doesn't shout, it doesn't argue. It simply feels true. And when you create enough stillness, it begins to surface. That's why this phase of your life, the lying down, the slowing down, the apparent stuckness, is not a waste. It is the workshop where your next self is being built. A new you is forming in the quiet, even if you can't see the blueprints yet. And when that new you is ready, you won't have to force movement. You won't have to manufacture motivation from sheer willpower. You won't have to guilt yourself into every decision. The next step will begin to feel obvious, not always easy, but clear. It will rise in you naturally, like an inner sunrise, gradual, steady, undeniable. Picture it, a dense forest, dark, silent. At first, you can't see the path. You stumble, you feel lost. But slowly, the sky begins to brighten. Light moves between the trees. Shapes, once invisible, take form. What felt like endless darkness reveals itself as landscape. There was always a path. You just couldn't see it in the night. That's what happens in the soul. The darkness of negrado is not a punishment. It's the night before the dawn. It's the necessary unmaking of the old, so the new can emerge without being chained to what came before. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's confusing. Yes, it makes you question yourself. But it is also sacred. So if you are in that season now, let this be your reminder. You are not broken. You are not lazy. You are not falling behind. You are in the vessel. You are in the quiet stage of transformation where nothing seems to move, but everything important is rearranging itself inside you. Trust that. Protect that. Give it room. Rest. Listen. Notice the small shifts, the returning curiosity, the flicker of energy, the subtle changes in what feels meaningful to you now. These are not random. They are early signs of the new form revealing itself. And when the moment comes, when the inner dawn is ready, you will know. The next step will not feel like pressure. It will feel like alignment, like something in you saying, now. And you will move forward, not out of fear of being left behind, but out of a deep, quiet certainty that this is yours. And like dawn breaking through the forest of your own life, the light will not ask permission from the darkness. It will simply arrive.